There are moments in life when a single word, spoken with innocence, can shatter the walls someone has built around their heart. That's what happened to a man who had forgotten what kindness felt like, a man who thought he was destined to live the rest of his days in bitterness and silence. He had no idea that one little girl, with her wide eyes and trembling voice, would one day look up at him and call him Daddy. And in that moment, something inside him would awaken something he thought was gone forever. This is his story. And before we begin, if you believe in the power of love, hope, and unexpected second chances, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to Everyday Grace Stories, where we share journeys that remind us all of the beauty still left in this world. For years, Henry had lived in a house that felt more like a prison than a home. Once, it had been filled with laughter, his wife's gentle singing while she cooked dinner, his little boy running through the hallway, filling every room with noise and joy. But life can be cruel in ways we cannot prepare for. An accident had stolen his wife away, and just 2 years later, his son had fallen ill with an illness the doctors couldn't fight. The silence that followed was unbearable. The man who once gave to others, who once smiled at neighbors and helped strangers without hesitation, disappeared into a shadow of himself. People stopped visiting. He stopped answering the door. The world forgot him, and he let it. His heart became hard, his soul grew tired, and kindness, once his greatest strength, was buried under years of grief. Every morning, Henry walked the same path to the corner store to buy what little he needed. He spoke to no one. He met no one's eyes. He carried his sorrow like a heavy coat he could never take off. Children who used to wave at him when they were younger no longer bothered, they had learned he would not wave back. To them, he was the old man with the broken face and the sharp eyes, someone to be avoided. Henry didn't mind. He preferred it that way. Or at least, that's what he told himself. Then one gray afternoon, as the sky threatened rain, Henry stood outside the store, fumbling with his bag, when he heard a small voice, thin and hesitant. "Daddy!" He froze. The word cut through the air like an arrow, striking his chest with startling force. Slowly, he turned, and there she was, a little girl, no older than 7, her clothes a bit worn, her hair tangled, clutching a stuffed rabbit that looked almost as tired as she did. Her eyes, those big, searching eyes, were filled with a kind of longing that made Henry's throat tighten. "I'm sorry," she whispered, realizing her mistake. "I thought you were my daddy." She looked down quickly, embarrassed, as if she had broken some unspoken rule. Henry wanted to turn away, to retreat into his world of silence. But something in the way she said it, the way she wanted so badly for it to be true, held him there. He knelt down slowly, his knees stiff with age, and for the first time in years, he softened his voice. "It's all right, little one. I'm not your daddy, but are you all right? Where's your mother?" Tears filled her eyes then, and she clutched the rabbit tighter. "She's working, always working. And I don't know where Daddy is. Mama says he left. She says I don't need him." Her voice broke on the word need, and something inside Henry cracked open. That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept hearing her voice, seeing her face. The way she had looked at him, as if hoping he could fill the emptiness she carried, had stirred memories of his own son. For the first time in years, Henry wept. Not just for what he had lost, but for the child who had mistaken him for something she desperately longed for. Days turned into weeks, and somehow, their paths kept crossing. At the corner store. At the park. Once, in the library where she sat alone, coloring quietly while her mother worked late shifts. Henry began sitting near her, at first in silence, then slowly, with words. He asked her about school. She asked him why he walked with a limp. He told her about his favorite books. She told him she liked to draw rabbits because they reminded her of safety. It was strange, this connection. He was an old man with nothing left to give. She was a little girl with too much emptiness in her life. Yet, somehow, when they were together, the world felt less heavy. She started calling him Mr. Henry, but sometimes, when she was tired or lonely, she slipped, and the word daddy tumbled out again. Every time, Henry's heart ached, but he never corrected her harshly. Because deep down, he realized he didn't mind. He had forgotten what it felt like to be needed. Her mother, Maria, eventually noticed. At first, she was cautious, even suspicious. Life had taught her to be careful. But when she saw the way her daughter's eyes lit up around Henry, and when she realized how gently and respectfully he treated the girl, her defenses softened. Maria saw something rare: a man who wasn't asking for anything, a man who simply showed up, quietly, steadily, like a guardian her daughter had been praying for. But Henry's inner struggle was not easy. Each step he took toward kindness brought back the weight of his past losses. Some nights, he sat in his empty home, staring at the old photographs of his wife and son, asking himself if he was betraying them by allowing this little girl into his heart. But the answer came to him one evening, as he tucked a blanket over her shoulders while she napped at the library table. He realized his wife and son would not want him to stay buried in grief. They would want him to love again, to give again, to be the man he once was. And so, he chose not to replace them, but to honor them by being there for a child who needed him. Over time, something beautiful unfolded. Henry started smiling again. The neighbors noticed him greeting them softly. Children no longer ran past him, they stopped to wave, and he waved back. He fixed a broken swing in the park, not because he had to, but because he wanted to see kids laughing again. And all because one little girl had dared to call him daddy. The most powerful moment came one afternoon when Maria invited him over for dinner. They sat at the table, the girl chattering about her school day, Maria laughing gently at her stories. Henry felt something warm inside him that he hadn't felt in decades. Family. And when the little girl reached across the table, holding his hand with her tiny fingers, she whispered softly, "Thank you for being here, Daddy." This time, Henry didn't correct her. Tears filled his eyes as he whispered back, "Thank you for reminding me who I am." From that day on, he wasn't just the lonely man at the corner store. He was a father figure, a protector, and most of all, a man who had rediscovered his kindness through the courage of a child who dared to believe in love. And maybe that's the message we all need to carry in our hearts tonight. That kindness is never truly lost, it just waits, quietly, until someone or something awakens it again. Sometimes, the smallest voices can heal the deepest wounds. Sometimes, the love we think we'll never have again finds us in the most unexpected ways. So, if this story touched your heart, remember to like this video and subscribe to Everyday Grace Stories. Because just like Henry, maybe you, too, will one day discover that kindness is never gone, it only waits to be called back to life, often by someone who needs it the most.